Welcome into Action Island presented by FanDuel. Happy Monday, wrapping up week 6 alongside some of the best in the business. Charlie DiSturco, a newbie on Monday Night Football, Grant Neefer, and Prop Bomb. Thank you all for joining us. Hey, we're in for a good one. Chargers, Cowboys, a fun Monday Night Football game. Knock on wood, because just as we say this might be a game of the year, we could have a blowout. That's just how it works. If you're new to Action Island, it's fun here, game show-esque style. It's the place to be for parlays. We're going to help you build a same game parlay. Rules are pretty simple. Each of the panelists will present 2 bets. They're going to vote one off, vote one on. But the problem is AFC West games, I can't have a vote. So they're going to have to decide. And if not, we're going to do a little coin flip to get our final leg. We are presented by FanDuel. Get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5. This is for new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Cowboys at Chargers at SoFi Stadium. It's essentially a home game for Cowboys. I'm here in LA. I know there's more Dallas Cowboys fans than Los Angeles Chargers fans. Cowboys are -1.5. This total's been switching a little bit at 50.5 right now. Cowboys coming off a really embarrassing loss to the Niners, which was supposed to be a competitive game. Meanwhile, Chargers coming fresh off a bye. A lot at stake here. Kellen Moore, previous offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, going up against his former head coach, Mike McCarthy. A lot of fun storylines for this one. Charlie, you're going to be the first to give us the first leg, 2 options, and then Grant and Prop Bomb will get to voting. So where are we looking for the first leg?
Yeah, so you mentioned the Dallas Cowboys absolute just implosion on Sunday Night Football last week. Well, I'm going to target CeeDee Lamb on a bounce back game over 72.5 receiving yards. He's one of the many guys that have voiced their frustrations this season about the targets they're getting and just quite frankly, the production that's coming his way. And what we've seen over the last, few weeks is that Jamar says in more colorful language, I'm always open. What happens? He goes for well over 103 touchdowns. AJ Brown, he doesn't get in the end zone, but he ends up getting well over 100 yards as well. So I think this is the spot where the Cowboys are going to lean on CeeDee Lamb. When you want to win a game and you want to bounce back, you rely and get the ball in the hands of your best weapon, and that's him. The Chargers, they're bottom 5 in PFF's pass coverage grade, and they're 20th in DVOA to the wide receiver 1 position. So I think this is a great matchup for CeeDee Lamb, and I think they're going to get on the ball enough times that he'll eclipse this number, 6 to 8 receptions. I could see this happening. And if you look at the Chargers, yes, you look at their numbers, there's some optimism for the lower level guys, but against wide receiver 1s, we've seen Devontae Adams go for 75, Justin Jefferson go for nearly 150, DeAndre Hopkins on a bum ankle go for 40. That also, Treylon Burks that game went for 75, and Tyreek Hill 215 yards in the season opener. So I love CeeDee Lamb here. I think he's going to come back with vengeance. I backed him to score a touchdown against the Patriots when he was angry. Well, now he's angry, and I like his receiving yards here in a high-scoring game.
Am I crazy, or are the wide receiver 1s a little bit more angry this season, Charlie? You're right. We've heard it from too many, yet it does correlate to a positive performance the following week. I see where you're looking. CeeDee Lamb, by the way, he leads the Cowboys in snap rate, 73%, targeted nearly 22%, going up against the Chargers defense that's allowed over 900 yards to receivers. You divide that game by game, it's like over 200, and that is one of the worst in the NFL. Charlie, where else can we look for a second option for this first leg?
Yeah, I'm going to go on the opposite side for a receiver here, and not wide receiver 1. I'm going with wide receiver 3, Quentin Johnston, to go over 32.5 receiving yards. Listen, a total north of 50 means there's going to be a lot of offense, and our median projections at Action Network right around that 35 to 36 range. I think that this number is still too low. Quentin Johnston is off a bye, and that's usually when we see them kind of work in rookies into this system. Obviously, he has not gone over this number or has even hit 20 receiving yards yet this season. But I think this is the perfect buy low spot for him. No Mike Williams. And last week, we saw the Chargers really, or like 2 weeks ago before the bye, rely heavily on the run and Joshua Kelly. I think this week they're going to air it out a bit more. Obviously, you mentioned Kellen Moore and the revenge game. I expect them to really, put the ball in Herbert's hands and make him do some damage. He's a great quarterback for a reason. Josh Palmer, he's expected to play, but did pop up on the injury report late. So if he's snap share is limited in any way, that's to QJ's benefit. I think this is sink or swim moment. So I think that with his rising snap count, and I think that the only way that his target share is going to go is up here. Off the bye week, I love buying a rookie here. So QJ over 32.5 receiving yards. Plus, Sean Kerner's on this prop too. He jumped on GDD to do it. So if you need any more reason of a push to go that way, Sean Kerner said yes.
Shout out Sean Kerner. Quentin Johnston, the big boy from TCU. They went and got him for a reason. I like the look coming off a bye, hopefully getting more involved. Mike Williams out for the year. So you've got to get some of these receivers involved now that that top guy is going to be out. Johnston's a talented receiver. He's just lacking a little bit of polish. Of course, coming off a bye, you hope that you figure some of that out. Grant, prop bomb. Go with the wide receiver 1 and CeeDee Lamb, potentially over his receiving yards at 72.5. Or take it a little risky. Quentin Johnston over 32.5 for the newbie out in LA. Let's get to voting. Three, two, one. Show us your bets. Where are we headed? We're split. We've got Lamb and Johnson. See, this is the problem. I'm sorry I can't help this out, but thankfully we can go to the Action Island gods and get a coin flip going on in here. So let's see where we're going.
Yeah, I'll start first. So the reason why I went Quentin Johnson.
Well, let's see. Are we going Quentin Johnston? It looks. Hey, see, prop bomb. This is. You're throwing some magic into this graphic. Quentin Johnston over 32.5 receiving yards. Prop bomb. Why are you going this route?
So yeah, I'll start first with Quentin Johnson here. Yeah, I agree with Charlie. I think this is exactly what rookies do in post-week buys. They have higher roles in the offense. They have the 7 days to train with the team and extra time just to correlate and gel, and especially missing Mike Williams, I could just see that role sort of transition more to Quentin Johnson. And the guy out of TCU is always a big play. He's a yak threat. And I think it's a very low number just considering the high over under, as you alluded to earlier.
He hasn't cleared it yet, but it does feel like a buy low spot for Johnston. Yeah, exactly. And now when you really know that your top wide receiver is out, you've got to start looking at other options. Grant, you went with a more solid take. Sorry that we voted it off. What were you looking at with CeeDee Lamb over Quentin Johnston? Oh, I think we can't hear you, Grant.
Yep, sorry.
There we go.
Sorry. Yeah, for me, it more went with my picks that we'll get to later on, kind of going against it, Johnson pick, but doesn't go against it too much. Lamb, I feel like both of these picks were solid. Lamb has not done great so far this season. He hasn't been bad, but just hasn't had a big game outside of that Jets game. But it's really been just blowout pretty much all season long. I mean, we saw what they did against the Giants. It wasn't even remotely close pretty much the entire game. We saw that Sunday Night Football game last week. 49ers just absolutely crushed them. Other week, Patriots absolutely got crushed. So it hasn't really been a close game. And this one, it's projected to be close. 1.5 point spread, big total, biggest of the week, I think. And Lamb, I feel like he's going to be heavily involved. Chargers always seem to be in close games. So I feel like he's going to more often hit the over in games that are going to be close. So that's why I lean more towards Lamb. But I like them both. I'm fine with the coin flip.
Here's the fun thing about Action Island. We present you a 3-leg same game parlay, but make it 4 legs, make it 5 legs, build it however you'd like. We're sticking with the TCU kid, Quentin Johnston, for all the headlines and storylines for Chargers Cowboys. How about rookie Johnston to get involved? 32.5's the line. We're looking at over. Grant, where are we looking for the second leg in Cowboys Chargers?
So the first bet I got, it's Keenan Allen anytime touchdown. I got it at plus 135 a few hours ago. It's all the way down to plus 120. I still like it. I like it at pretty much any plus odds. Keenan Allen has been fantastic this year. Obviously, we know Mike Williams is out. Keenan Allen has 3 touchdowns so far on the season, has 44 targets, 35 receptions, 9 red zone targets. He leads the team in red zone targets. And we look back to games where Mike Williams hasn't played over the last year and a half. And one of those games last week, touchdown for Keenan Allen. Another one, touchdown, 88 yards receiving. The other one without him in there, another touchdown, 49 yards receiving. So they're using him pretty heavily in the red zone whenever Mike Williams isn't in there. I think that's going to continue. It's just an overall good spot going up against the Cowboys. I know Cowboys are a tough pass D, but they're without their top cornerback right now. So I think Keenan Allen really shouldn't be at plus money to score a touchdown. I think there's a better chance than not that he ends up getting one to spot. And looking at the total just makes me think there's going to be enough scoring. I actually don't even hate his first touchdown scorer prop at plus 1,000.
Hey, that would really give a big payout to this parlay. Keenan Allen's been the most reliable target for Justin Herbert, especially with Williams out. And here's the thing to remember. Justin Herbert, he's going to be good to go. He's going to be throwing the ball, but his finger got destroyed last week. And when you're going to be playing in a game where you're not at 100%, who are you going to throw the ball to? The person that you know and you can trust, which is Keenan Allen. Grant, if you do want to fade Allen and want to go a different route, where can we go for the second leg?
So the second leg, I'm going with Josh Palmer over 3.5 receptions, minus 120. Last week, first game without Mike Williams in the lineup, I don't think he hit the over. I think he ended up with 3 receptions, but 8 targets. And that's with Herbert only throwing the ball 24 times. Last 2 games, he has 7 and 8 targets. When we look back all the way to last year in the few games that he played without Williams in there, he had a ton of targets, 11 targets, 7 receptions in one of them. Another one, he had 7 targets, 5 receptions. The other 2 were without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And so don't really want to go off that too much, but 10 targets, 8 receptions, and 8 targets, 3 receptions. So he's going to get the ball a decent amount, whether he catches it or not. I know a tough matchup, but still overall, I think he's going to get solid targets in this spot and decent amount of volume. Extra week in the offense to get more involved, kind of learn that Mike Williams role a little bit more, figuring out what the offense is going to be. Obviously, the week before, they had a week for it. Now, with the extra bye week, should have Johnson and Palmer more entrenched. I went with Palmer over receptions instead of Johnson, or instead of going with any of the other receivers, because I just think this line is far too low considering his volume. And even if Mike Williams was playing, this might not be a bad line. But obviously, with him out, it's enough of a bump that I just absolutely love this spot here for him.
Don't forget, the total for this game is at 50.5. That means points. That means a lot of receivers involved, a lot of receptions involved. Josh Palmer dealing with that groin injury this week. He's good to go. Might be a reason why you're getting this number at 3.5. Shouldn't be any setbacks for him, though, out there tonight against the Cowboys. All right, Prop Bomb and Charlie, 2 options here. Josh Palmer over 3.5 receptions, or go with Keenan Allen, anytime touchdown. Let's start voting. 3, 2, 1, the number 1 guy, or maybe, look at this. See, Grant, if you're new here, but this has become a little bit of an art show, and Charlie's showing off right now. Sorry, Prop Bomb. What do we got going here, Char?
We got a microphone because he's on The Masked Singer. He's got a good, beautiful voice.
I didn't even know that.
I was wondering what that was for.
And then a star with his number inside because he's gonna score on the star, and then a football.
That was thought out. Like that was pretty impressive. And I think that you're gonna have to talk this over with Tim, who might be a little bit jealous of that one. I didn't know Keenan Allen was on The Masked Singer.
Me too.
I saw Demi Lovato just ended up. All right, this is a parlay show. Anyway, why are you looking at Keenan Allen to get in the end zone tonight?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that basically what Grant said is 100% accurate. And when you have no Mike Williams and you need to look toward your best option, Herbert's going to do that. And I think that Keenan Allen, we've seen it time and time again. It doesn't matter who's on him. He's always going to get targets. He's always going to get looks in the red zone. And plus, Josh Palmer being slightly banged up and Donald Parham even being questionable for this game just takes away even more potential targets. I think Allen at 100% health and being Herbert's number 1 guy is the reason why I lean that way. Plus, I give out Quentin Johnson. Obviously, not to say that everyone can have a good day, but I lean toward Allen finding the end zone as opposed to Palmer racking up the receptions, given that groin injury that we don't know, quite frankly, if he's fully healthy or not. So I went with the plus money touchdown with Keenan, who I think, like Grant said, will probably score more often than not with a high total.
Yeah, we love a nice correlated parlay. Keenan Allen is the Chargers' leading receiver, 44 targets this year, 35 receptions, over 400 yards. He's getting in the end zone a lot, 3 already this season. Wouldn't be surprised if it happens again against Dallas. Prop bomb, why were you looking at Allen over Palmer?
Yeah, I like the Josh Palmer look. The only thing that I worry about is just the comp. I know you said that Parham is out, but they also got Eckler back there. You also got Quentin Johnston. There is a lot of target competition, and not to mention as well, Dallas's pass rush with Micah Parsons could maybe not have Josh Palmer enough time to develop a route for Justin Herbert here. And then, yeah, I mean, just going back, I love the Keenan Allen look. He's simply put the first read option for Justin Herbert, and those red zone looks. I mean, that's a really good trend to be a part of. So, yeah, popular play for a good reason. And I mean, you're seeing the plus odds continue to go down. So, yeah, favorite play for my end.
You can get it now at plus 120. We're looking at all Chargers tonight so far. Quentin Johnston over 32.5 receiving yards for the first leg. Keenan Allen to get in the end zone for the second leg. Prop bomb, let's keep talking. Are we going Chargers again, or are we looking at some Cowboys guys?
Yeah, let's stick with the Chargers. We keep talking about this over 50.5, but I think it's time that I bring in an under here.
Ooh.
And let's go with Austin Eckler. Under 4.5 receptions. Very, very controversial. I get it. He's one of the best pass catching running backs in the game. But I like this a lot with the design that the Cowboys, he's going to be seeing with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a team that employ man coverage at the third highest rate in the league. And a guy like Austin Eckler, you need to pay attention to coverage schemes, because Eckler actually has in 2022 13 of his 80 receptions coming in man coverage, with the other 67 coming in zone coverage there. And that's a very noticeable split there. And, look, going forward here, that target per route run, which is 33%, drops to 12% in man coverage. And then you have the target hog Keenan Allen in the game with them. The splits last season are a little bit exaggerated too. In the 7 games with Keenan Allen, in the 10 games with Keenan Allen, he averages 6.3 targets per game. But then in the 7 games without him, he averages 9.3. So obviously having both in there is going to be a bit of a competition for a guy like Austin Eckler to get the ball. And yeah, I mean, look at the last 2 running backs. Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey both couldn't do it against the Cowboys. I think that's a pretty telling sign. So give me the under 4.5 receptions for Austin Eckler.
I want to point out something. Just because you're looking at an under on Eckler's receptions doesn't necessarily mean Eckler has a bad game. You could actually be looking at Eckler to go over on his rushing yards, and it's just a fade on the receiving yards. Because hear me out, even though the Cowboys' run defense has been solid, the Cowboys are without one of their top run defenders in Leighton Vander Esch, which means Eckler might have a chance to run the ball pretty efficiently, might not have to use him as much in the passing game, and you've got plenty of other receivers out there to do it for LA. Prop bomb, that's your first option for the third leg. Where can we look at for the second option?
Yeah, so this one is more of a lean on my end. We're going to be going on the other team here. We're going to be going with Tony Pollard. Anytime touchdown score, it's a little bit juicy, minus 185 odds right now. But yeah, I mean, I just think he's a massive touchdown positive regression candidate, and he's not sharing the ball with Ezekiel Elliott this season. People need to remember that. He's had 27 red zone goal line carries in the end zone, but only managed to pop 2 touchdowns here. And you look at the guys who are in the top 7, all 5 of them at least had 3. So there is some regression coming here. And one of the guys that has 2 was Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs against the Chargers was able to score a touchdown. I just think there's also a low vulture rate. A lot of the times here you have guys like the backup running backs to steal some of the carries inside the end zone. I don't see that being a situation on the team. 16 of the 22 opportunities in the end zone are going to Tony Pollard instead of the other running backs. And yeah, again, he's a dual threat through the air. You can either get it from a catch or you can get it through the ground. The Chargers are a team that are allowing 1.3 rushing touchdowns. They've allowed it to 4 of the last 5 lead running backs here. I just think this is a nice spot to bet on a touchdown. I mean, I feel like this would be like minus 300 if he was getting it every game before here. So, that's my second pick.
Don't we feel like it's about time Tony Pollard gets in the end
It's
zone?
about damn time.
It's crazy. He had 2 touchdowns first week, but we haven't seen anything yet. I got him on my fantasy team this week, not to make this show about fantasy, but I'm 20 points down. I need Pollard to have a big one. He can get in it in the run game or in the passing game. Tony Pollard, anytime touchdown as the second option. Grant, Charlie, 2 ways you can look at this. Pollard to get in the end zone or Eckler under his receptions at 4.5. Start voting. Okay, where are we headed? Are we sticking all Chargers? Or are we throwing in a Cowboy? Under. And the artwork continues with the impressive lightning bolt. Eckler under all around, sticking with LA. I guess minus 180 for Tony Pollard's a bit juicy. Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. Charlie, what were you looking at?
Yeah, bolts down. I just think that what Prop Bomb says is a great stat on how man coverage really, you see Eckler's production kind of decrease. And I think everyone thinks, oh, wow, Eckler's back. He's going to get a ton of work in the passing game. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I think that with Van Der Esch, as you mentioned, out, that's a bonus for, as you said, the run game versus the passing game, and vice versa. If one of their pass coverage linebackers were out, maybe it'd be a different story. But I like this look here. I also, quite frankly, don't do same game parlays with like minus 150 to 180 juice. There's so much that goes on, whether or not McCaffrey scores every week or Tony Pollard at minus 180. Listen, he's probably going to get in. That's why the odds are there. But I'd rather, go toward a different route, a little spicier route, and take this Eckler under.
But for everyone watching at home that says, wait, isn't Pollard more of the safe bet here? We're not looking for safe bets. This is a same game parlay. We're looking for a big payout, everyone. Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. Cowboys haven't been fantastic against running backs who are involved in the pass game. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, prop them as you illustrated. It's a reason to go with Eckler under his receptions. Grant, why'd you say yes to Eckler and no to Pollard?
I mean, pretty much everything that these guys just said. He's not been great versus man coverage. Actually, he was under on receiving yards a couple of days ago. I think that's moved now, but he hasn't been great versus man coverage. Like, there has been multiple times last season where he didn't end up getting there. And you look at his overall targets and receptions for last season, a lot of it's skewed by the Mike Williams injuries, the Keenan Allen injury last year. So he definitely had an expanded role last season because of the lack of depth at wide receiver. So this year, Mike Williams is out, but they have Johnson, they have Palmer, they have Keenan Allen still. And it's a spot where the Dallas pass D is going to be heavily involved. So Eckler may have to do a little bit more run blocking, or in pass protection. It's a spot where I don't think he's going to get nearly the same volume. I think they're going to try and get the wide receivers involved, especially considering they're both in new roles. So that's why I went with Eckler. Also, I didn't want to go with a minus 180 prop on here. It's not quite as fun, even though it's still a pretty good shows.
No safe bets on Action Island this week. Okay, we're going to check in with Darren Ravel for a market report, and at the end, we'll come back, show you the payout, what we're looking at on FanDuel. Darren, how's it going? What do you have for us?
Well, thanks, Megan. Yes, we're looking at the 3 biggest props, most bet props for Monday Night Football. Number 1, CeeDee Lamb, who has only caught 1 touchdown this year, to score the first touchdown. That's at 10-1. Of course, last week he was complaining that he didn't get much action, maybe in the minds of bettors. That's thinking that he's going to get called on first. Keenan Allen to score anytime touchdown. That's plus 140. He has 3 touchdowns this year. And obviously the Chargers have had some trouble with the big guys over the middle, and Jake Ferguson is certainly that for the Cowboys. The 3rd most bet prop is Jake Ferguson over 3.5 receptions. That's minus 146. He has caught 7 and 5 receptions in 2 games, and then the other 3 he's had 2, 3, and 3. So it seems like in the middle, but then you're probably playing the Chargers here and their inept defense, or at least ineptness with the big guys, and Jake is one of those guys, of course. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Darren. Everyone loves this new Jake Ferguson. I get it. He's fun to watch. I like where we're headed, though, in this parlay. It's all Chargers. Let's go over to FanDuel Sportsbook. Parlay this together. We're looking at a pretty big payout right now. We've got Quentin Johnston over. It's moved up 32.5 receiving yards. Keenan Allen, anytime touchdown scorer. And Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. You parlay this all together, you're at plus 610. Charlie, Grant, prop bomb. How we feeling? We feel good about this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and hey, this is supposed to live up to the expectation. Chargers, Cowboys. And it seems like since before we go, I just want to say, are you guys looking at Chargers to win, or are you looking at Cowboys here? It feels like we're looking at all Chargers bets. Charlie, you give us first, or Greg, go.
All the numbers point towards the Chargers. My problem is I bet the Chargers many times over the last 6 years. And if the line was at 3, not even a question, I would hammer it. But line being at 1.5, 2, I can't do it. I just, based on past with the Chargers, it's not an analytics thing. It's just, I don't know if they're cursed or what, but they almost always are going to lose by a field goal every single time I bet them. I don't know why. So I have a strict rule of not betting unless it's at 3 or above.
Well, that's what parlays are for. And Charlie, right now during the show, we found out Quentin Johnston, his line just went up to 35.5. Are we still liking the over there?
Up to 35.5 definitely is more edgy. But I did take an alt line on him to go over 50 plus. I believe it was plus 260 when I gave it out on Green Dot Daily. So I'm still okay with it. I think that like we've all been talking about, right? Eckler doesn't get as much targets. And I think Herbert's going to try and get the receivers involved. This is a game where I think we're going to see plenty of draw design plays for him to work. So I'm okay with it, but I don't know how much higher I would really go. Obviously, I would prefer the lower numbers, which is why you follow us in the app and whatnot.
Hey, everyone's just watching the show and inflating the market on the Quentin Johnston over. It's at 35.5. If you parlay it, it does make the odds better. We're at plus 616 for the payout on the parlay. Charlie, Grant, prop bomb, good luck tonight. Let's go cash and same game parlay. Quentin Johnston over Keenan Allen, anytime touchdown, and Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. Have fun tonight. We'll see you here next time on Action Island.
Go Chargers.